Hi and welcome to The Chat with Mike and Matt. I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 2.
Stress, anxiety and depression in men.
Indeed. Should we get into it? No, before we get into it, first of all...
apologies for the backdrop. We still haven't ironed it.
Nor did I iron this ill-fitting shirt, but... moving on. We will try and get that sorted out at some point. Hopefully it hasn't offended anyone or bashed with anyone's OCDs in any way, shape or form. Right, okay. I suppose, episode 2, stress, anxiety... I guess, what are the common triggers in men in general? What would you say is like the top 3 things that men stress out about the most?
Well, to be honest with you, I'd probably say the main one for us and men in general, finances.
Yeah.
Money, and the lack of.
Yeah, that's kind of how the world goes at the minute, though. Everything's about money.
Exactly.
And
work.
That's the thing that creates money.
Or lack of.
And then the stress of being in a job, I guess especially if it's a job that you're not fond of, or you feel like it's not going to take you anywhere. And then even then looking for a job that might not even take you anywhere, and the stresses of being unemployed.
But just trying to find a job so you can bring in some more money to ease the stress of not having any money.
And again, like I would say, this is obviously like the same thing for women as well. For everyone.
I mean, the way the world is at the moment is everyone. There's so many people.
I did hear a stat actually that 1 in every 5 adults, so I guess from 16 to whatever the retirement age is these days, 80, 90, 100, I don't know.
More than that.
I think it's probably like 67 or something. I don't even know. But that amount of people, 1/5 of them are not in work. They're all actively looking for work, which...
That's 20%.
That's shocking. And we're a part of that 20% at the moment, I suppose. But hopefully things will pick up. They have to, right? Surely.
They have to.
And I guess, it's just sort of how you're approaching it.
Yeah,
I guess
so
you're only going to be able to, fix it. And I don't want to do that whole thing of you've got to pull your socks up and do all of that kind of thing. But and it's I get it's so hard to actively sort of like try and push yourself to try and find something, but unless you're going to do that, you're not going to achieve anything. Like, unfortunately, nothing is given to you in this life.
And when you are stressed and feeling anxious, it makes it even more difficult. To try and pick yourself up out and get you out of that hole.
Do you feel like because I know like getting not backed for things, whether it be like auditioning for something when you're younger, like a school show, or even going to a job interview and then not getting it or what have you. Do you think like now, because obviously like mental health is so like spoken about, that actually the stresses of it have been heightened? Or is it just because there's that many people that are out of work and social media exists and everyone's then aware of how shit it is for people to get a job? Like,
don't know.
Because I feel like it's like I've never felt this stressed before.
No, 100%. I've never felt as anxious before.
I've been knocked back, but then I suppose that's the thing. I've not been for a job interview in a long time.
It's like the constant knockbacks,
sure,
that do affect your mental health more. Like I've been, when you apply for a job, you find a job that you want and you don't get it, and it knocks you back.
Yeah.
And then even when you try to, like the way the world is at the moment, there are so many things just knocking you back and knocking you back and knocking you back.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously affects your mental health, and
for sure. I mean, the constant sort of worry of, there already is war, but that whole sort of World War III, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
There's still a possibility, and then you've still then got to deal with them finding a job, and then World War III,
Well, to be fair, I've got epilepsy, so I won't be on the front line, but they'll probably find me a job in like the soup kitchen or something like that.
Oh God, you're not
with
you're
your knees, you ain't getting on the front line either.
Can you strap them up? Yeah.
No.
Right, here's a rifle.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Let's deal with this.
Look forward to that.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, it could happen.
I love that we've gone from talking about stress.
Yeah, we've tried to
anxiety and depression. We're talking about World War III.
We did want to avoid politics, but I just think anything with like anxiety, for fuck's sakes, like if you're not having anxiety over the potential of like sending your loved ones to like go and battle at the front lines, or creating some kind of like dad's army, like home guard kind of thing, which actually I'd quite be on board with.
I'd be up for that.
Do you know what? Yeah, actually, home guard. Yeah, go for it. But in all seriousness,
But then again, that'd be very stressful.
yeah, but I think, but then you know what your purpose is though. Like not having a job and not being able to do like what we like that we're questioning. Like,
So are you hoping for World War III?
I can't,
so you can sort your mental health out.
I think we have weirdly solved it. I think war is going to be a good thing for me. It could be a good thing for Matt and his epilepsy. Shit, yeah, wow.
Well, there we go.
I am not an advocate for
Episode
war.
2, done.
Right, the chat does not advocate war in any way, shape or form. So, no, but let's go back to the work scenario where,
Yeah,
I mean, it would provide jobs, but
it would, and money.
and death. So, yeah, probably better not go to war.
Yeah,
Let's fingers
probably.
crossed. But anyway, that's an example of anxiety, right there. Which I do think
Example of anxiety.
I
Worrying about World War III.
I watch too many YouTube videos, even with like these tariffs and stuff. It's like, I mean, oh yeah, let's not go. Right, politics, stop, poof, right there.
Yeah.
But stresses, anxiety in work. Have you got an example of when you've been like completely like stressed out? When you've
Many.
been when you've been employed.
Many, many, many.
Go on then.
No, it's just when like I touched on it, I think, in the first episode
Yeah.
about people just generally being dicks now.
Mm.
I'm not saying everyone's a dick, but most people are.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you're, say, you're understaffed, used to happen a lot.
Mm.
Used to get busy, and you're only just about coping. And then when people have problems, minuscule problems, that you're like, come on,
First world
come on.
problems.
Yeah,
innit?
first world problems, yeah. And, then that's when it starts to get too much. And obviously when you do suffer from your mental health, that's where, like, one of the triggers that kind of spiraled me down was that, and then it is the stress and the anxiety that just gets to you, and it builds up and up and up. And that was, one of the main factors that made it difficult for me was being at work, just how stressful.
Yeah.
And
Dealing with other people's problems and
exactly, that weren't problems. That's the thing, that aren't problems.
I mean, we don't know, again, like situation based, like someone might be going through like a really, really bad day, and it's like it's not being like they might, like me, sometimes I make an amazing third impression on people. Like I don't intend on being a dick to people, especially in hospitality and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been there. I feel like growing up, and I just feel like some people, I'm not saying like privileged people will, but again, like super rich people obviously wouldn't have worked in Waitrose or what have you, or something like that. But
yeah, that's
but
the thing. Is
but
it's
then the
a
other
lot of like the people that I was going through, people like that are very overprivileged.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not a person to judge anyone.
yeah, because
I
if you
don't
had
wanna-
money,
I
you'd
don't
probably
wanna-
turn into a right bastard.
Oh god, yeah, I'd be a dick. I would.
I think
be a
all
dick.
of us would a little bit. No, but I think no. Seriously though, I feel like we'd all remember where we come from, and actually, like,
I think so.
I'd want to be in a position where if I had that sort of money, I just want to be creating jobs and like trying to create stability for people, and I think ultimately, like, I still would want to do that, like, in life. I think that's kind of my dreams have like come down and down and down over the years, have like come by, and like
Started off by wanting to be famous.
yeah,
Then you're like,
yeah,
oh, I'd like to just do this and be known
Yeah.
for that. And now it's like,
yeah, could have been Prince Caspian, but that's a story for another time.
and now we're sitting in a man cave recording a podcast.
Yeah,
So your dreams have gone back up again.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows? If we make it to episode 14, then potentially. But yeah, until then, we won't. We'll just see.
Well, let's talk a bit about recognising the symptoms or not recognising symptoms of depression.
So the signs of depression that are often overlooked. So I guess we have actually done a bit of research this time round,
Yeah.
and we've looked into it a little bit, and we've come up with a list that we feel reflects a lot on like common stresses that you might just not see, which, like, going back to what you were saying a moment ago about people being rude and stuff. Like, I know it's not always the case that all people are dicks, like not everyone is, but sometimes people will be going through a tough time.
It isn't everyone.
Even things like road rage or something. Like, I know there's been days where like I've just had a really, really shit day, and you're just kind of like, for fuck's sakes.
I get it every day, to be fair. I always end up getting pissed off at someone or
Yeah, I mean, I suppose with
whatever.
hospitality.
Yeah. I'd say irritability and anger.
Yeah, that's
one.
that's
like
quite an obvious one.
Yeah, like losing your temper very quickly.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And I hold my hands up to that sometimes.
I'm terrible.
I'm like that. And you'll snap.
Yeah.
And when I kind of like snap and have a go at someone, I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, sure.
And then sometimes in the heat of the moment, like, no, I was right to snap.
Yeah.
But that's, that's one of the things that I'm guilty of.
See, I think
I hold my hands up to.
I've always had a bit of a temper. But it's just weird. Like sometimes it's just like weird things that then like really annoy me. So
yeah, but depending on how you feel, you're feeling at the time. I suppose that's what we're talking about,
I would just hold my hand up and just say no. I think it's just part of my personality is like I just have a bit of a grump on, and I do have a bit of a temper, and that's just my makeup.
Bit
unfortunately,
of a miserable dick.
Yeah, I can be, and I think that's just like sort of maybe just genetics a little bit there with rage, but the thing is I'm aware of it, and I actually actively try to sort of not,
at least you're trying.
Yeah, like I think that's the first step, isn't it? Sort of like being aware of
baby steps.
But I guess it's sort of it's a hard one for other people because like obviously I do get annoyed like for them to be like, oh well, he's behaving a bit differently here. It's kind of like, well. Yeah, but I suppose when things are good, you're like, yeah, it's harder to make me like get.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I think that's just the same with anyone, really. Like,
a big one that I know from what you've told me you suffer from
your sleep patterns.
Yeah,
yeah.
I have the same.
Yeah,
like how many nights a week would you say you don't sleep until like stupid o'clock in the morning?
I think it changes because of what I'm sort of doing in life, I guess. Like I think when I quit smoking before, it took me about 5 or 6 weeks. I was just a total insomniac. Like I was just awake the whole time, and really, really struggled to sleep. But
is that all because
that's
the,
like
the stress of not being able to smoke?
I think it's just like it's just almost like the come down from it, the change, like your chemical balance or what have you. But the funny thing is actually like one of the main reasons why I started smoking in the first place was because I used to grow up having like really bad dreams, like a lot of bad dreams.
Yeah.
And I'd wake up pretty much like 2 or 3 times, 4 times a week, and then just not be able to go back to sleep because I was
I still have like messed up dreams like that. Funnily enough, I actually had a dream about World War III the other night.
See, I am not messing around.
And I was in a hotel, and it was weird because there was like these old school German bombers,
right? Okay,
flying out, and they were like nosediving,
right? Yeah,
Schmitz. Yeah, cool story, bro. Do you know what I mean? But that was my dream.
No, it's great. That ties in. See, World War III's a thing.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. So I would say. Sorry, going back. So actually, like sleep patterns, I feel, yeah, if you do have a change in them, it's going to be something, whether it's subconscious or not,
100%.
or whether you're fully aware of what's going on, or it could just be something playing in the back of your head that just sort of like might keep you awake. So, yeah, there we go.
There's one that I suffer from quite a bit, and that's like difficulty concentrating.
Really?
Yeah. Like I didn't even look into it. I didn't know it was a thing until the doctor told me, and I actually got sent to hospital and had a memory test and stuff like that.
Is this from your?
It was linked with the epilepsy and the depression side. So
but not the epilepsy drugs. It's the actual epilepsy itself.
No,
that's causing.
It might be a side effect of my epilepsy medication,
right? Okay.
But apparently it can be brought on by a lot of stress, anxiety. It's like my wife; she notices it all the time. Like, say I'm cooking dinner and I'll get something out the cupboard,
yeah,
and I'll do whatever I do. Open the fridge. I'll walk off and I've left the fridge and the cupboard open.
Right.
But apparently they're signs of like stress,
signs of being a man.
Exactly. And I was like, is that true, or is that being nitpicky a bit? To me, that's someone I think it was the doctor that told me that, and I'm thinking are you just trying to help me out here?
To be fair, I would want everything closed up. But then again,
yes, so would I. I would. It'd piss me off if I came into the kitchen.
Okay, well then,
and I saw the fridge and the cupboard open.
I think you've answered your own question there. Like that's just you. Like
that was just a bit of a ramble, that one, wasn't it? Really?
Did you forget?
Probably.
No, I think that's clearly, like, because you weren't doing that 4 years ago, were you?
No.
So
that's correct.
It's going to have something to do with that. But then they are helping you, obviously, sort of then deal with
exactly
the actual issue, which is
he'll be fine.
Being head mental. I think that's what that is. Cool. Unexplained physical aches and pains and stuff.
That's just getting old. That's not right. Mental health. That's just getting old.
If you're like us and you're in mid-30s going on to 40 and you're having aches and pains and you think you're stressed out, it's probably just because,
You can't say that for everyone.
No.
Because, to be fair, it does.
No,
and
of course not.
The tiredness, the fatigue thing, that does. I think, when you're stressed and anxious, I'll go to bed and I'll feel so mentally drained.
Yeah.
But annoyingly not physically drained, so I can't sleep. And then you end up just thinking about whatever.
Yeah.
But, the aches and pains, I'm sure...
Well,
this goes back to us. We should have done a bit more research and a bit more digging into this.
Yeah.
But I think when you're at our age, the aches and pains are just...
I'll tell you, look, mate, the aches and pains that I've got right now is just from people leaving jackets on the stairs and me not seeing them and then falling down whilst holding a TV in my hand that I was giving to my mate Jimmy. And then consequently messing up my ACL in my good leg. But that's the only sort of aches and pains that I've got at the minute, I guess. But again, I do put that down to age. But having going for walks and stuff this whole week, actually, thank you. I can say that actually I've lost nearly half a stone just by sort of doing a bit more sort of walking and stuff. And
I had a Burger King for lunch.
How can you afford a Burger King?
Huh? No, I couldn't.
Was it one of those? Do you know what I've actually?
It was I can't afford to get a Burger King.
So you've spent they got the
really hungry. So I got the cheap meal. Okay. It was $4.99.
I have got saved for a rainy day.
A cheeseburger fund.
My reward thing is nearly on 600, so I can actually get a proper burger. And I'm gonna get that one day.
I'm gonna eat that
when I'm really hungry and I've lost a stone and I deserve to put on a bit more. I guess I don't know. I do if I put my mind to it, I do lose weight. But sorry, going back to aches and pains and the fact that I've been walking. The first day was awful, and then the next day was better, and then the next day was better, and then today I managed to do 9 kilometers of walking, and my legs they're not too bad.
Can I ask, how do you feel that's affected you mentally? Do you feel that's
good
made
for
a difference?
Because I put an effort in, and actually I've seen a result from doing it. But the problem is it's not sustainable in a sense that if I was working, I wouldn't be able to go for a nice 3-4 hour walk in the sunshine and it's all good and I have time with my thoughts and things. I'd be surrounded by people and not getting a chance to think by myself. The thing is, I love what I actually do for work. It's just not having it at the moment. So I'm kind of on the other side of the working debate. I love what I do. I just don't have enough of it. So it's just a case of, at the minute, if I'm not working, I need to be more active looking for work. But if I am able to do these 3-4 hour walks and make my legs feel better and just feel healthier, and the fact that I am eating 2 burgers and a Red Bull for breakfast pretty much every day and losing half a stone says something.
Can't complain.
So that's good.
One thing that stands out to me that some people might show as a sign of depression, stress and anxiety, it's the self-criticism or the talking negative about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not one to do that, and I don't think you are.
Oh,
either.
mate, I fucking hate myself. Sorry, let's go. If we're going to go honest.
Well, yeah. No, that's what I mean. I feel down that road sometimes, but I've never been around and going, oh, I hate myself. I'm not saying, that's just the way that I've coped with it. I've never done that, but some people might, and it's a good symptom that people have it's easy to recognise, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. Because I would never and I hadn't. The only time I sort of
That's the thing, because we bottle it up.
exactly
That's
and
the way we've dealt with
if
it.
we're coming into this whole thing now, like I'm just gonna. It's not a cry for help or anything like that, by the way. Like, but obviously, like if we're gonna be honest about everything, like I think I've told maybe like a couple of people this about me, but like and it's gotten better, but yeah, for the longest time that I can really remember, and it was even like probably like as I was sort of mentioning in episode 1 when I was kind of on antidepressants after Mum had died and stuff,
Crying in the shower
and moments like that where like I just didn't like who I was. Like I could like I just
No,
I know that
I
could be
agree.
such a
Like
dick,
I still
and just I knew that I was a dick at times and just couldn't feel like I just couldn't, whatever I did I couldn't change it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a massive battle for me to sort of give myself like a pat on the back, or like go,
it's
you know
hard.
what,
It's
well
really
done.
hard.
Like if I achieve something, I kind of like I find it really hard to sort of enjoy it, because like as weird as it sounds, like I have to enjoy it with myself, which sounds weird. Like I don't quite like again, it's really hard to sort of describe, but
I picture something weird when you say you there's you and enjoying yourself.
Actually, I think that's one of the only moments that both me and my inner me are kind of all right.
Yeah.
Oh, let's move on to
your squelchy
oh, it's
eye
the squelchy eye. Oh gosh, so yeah.
Stop rubbing your
done it
eye,
again.
because the mic's picking it up.
Do write in the comments how many times my eye squelched in this episode, and then yeah, like the winner will get a shout out or something, because we don't do t-shirts or anything just yet, because we have no money.
Yeah, they cost money.
Which we'd love to be able to do at some stage, but we'll see what happens. Another area is social withdrawal.
Yeah.
Which I know that I've been a big fan of at times, when it's been like, do you want to come to the pub? You come to the pub.
Yeah.
And then just not come to the pub.
And it was like when you when we were going to the gig, we were going to see Jimmy Eat World in
that was what, November?
In Brixton.
Yeah,
it was November.
I forgot about that actually.
So obviously we planned on got tickets or whatever.
Yeah, so basically, I saw it. I was like, "That's fantastic!" I bought like
it was your idea.
It was
and you
my
bought the
idea.
Tickets,
I bought like 4 or 5 tickets, going early Christmas present, everyone. We're gonna go and see Jimmy Eat World. And then over the course of the year, from when I booked the tickets to it happening, obviously things are just sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to. Over the course of the year, I then fell again deeper into this sort of depression, and then it was just the show. Like I couldn't enjoy going to see something or someone who I like was waiting for. It was the same with like Blink actually, but that was kind of more like I had a freaking migraine, but I didn't go for that. But this time it was more just I felt like I couldn't be around people enjoying myself because.
Well, I remember you told us that you had a migraine.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling good, and I think, I mean, to be fair, I didn't. It was kind of like the truth, really. Like the whole thing just put me into such like a weird little fluster that I was just. It just made me feel unwell, I guess. Like, so it was kind of a half truth there. Like I wasn't feeling great, and it was almost like the mental and the physical kind of like crossovered and sort of did a bit of a double on me, double penetration of the old mind.
It was a great gig.
It was a great gig.
It was really good.
I did watch some of it online, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a good gig.
Yeah, shame. Yeah. But there we go. That's an example of withdrawing from society, which is the opposite of now, because we're bringing society in. Cool. Excessive scrolling on social media, binge watching TV, or overworking as a way to sort of avoid your emotions. Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone sort of does that these days.
Yeah.
How can you avoid
I was about
social
to say,
media?
just going by that,
Strong-minded.
my wife is extremely stressed, anxious, and depressed.
Right.
Because you just described what she does every night. So there's another one, the change in appetite.
Yeah. Significantly more or less than usual sort of like food. Have you ever?
I mean, for me, it's definitely more.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I sit there and cry with a tub of Ben and Jerry's every night.
No.
But I find and this could be a side effect of my medication, because one of the side effects is weight gain, but it makes you hungry.
Yeah, you said last week, didn't you?
And like, I'm not saying like every time I get stressed out, I want a bag of crisps, but I will find like to almost to unwind.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just sit on the sofa at night with a share-sized bar of dairy milk.
Yeah.
I won't share it.
I mean, I'm a fat fuck, me. I will literally eat anything that's chocolate, as long as it's not dark chocolate.
Are you a chocolate man or a sweet man?
Whatever's in front of me, really. And it depends on the day as well, I suppose. But yeah, and I love fast food. I don't know if that's just because of it's all of the things that you were told growing up that were bad for you and you can't have it and all these sorts of things. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I can have as much as I want. I'm like,
and then you realise you don't have the money to buy it.
Yeah.
So you can't have it as much as you want. I'm sort of
living my childhood fantasy minus, like, you know, being...
You've got to pay for it by yourself.
Well, I was thinking, yeah, basically.
Yeah. But I think that, like, the eating thing, obviously, that can work the other way around. I mean, not for me personally, but people, like, refuse to... You know, they won't eat. They'll just like go to bed and stuff. I completely understand that. You know,
and we know a couple of people who have actually gone through that as well, I suppose. And it's
we do.
Even recently talking to a friend, like he was experiencing, someone in his family was also going through it, and it's like it's can be traumatizing, I suppose, for everyone involved.
That can also lead to eating disorders as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you see that, take note.
Yeah.
We're gonna just try to scare. Is this whole podcast or is this YouTube channel just here to like terrify people into World War III and eating disorders?
World War III again.
We got self-criticism or negative self-talk, which I guess kind of coincides with something that we said earlier, of like sort of one not liking one's inner self.
We actually spoke about that. We spoke about that.
Yeah, so we can brush past that one, I suppose. But I suppose someone like sort of really putting themselves down in front of people. I guess you could be like, give yourself some more confidence, man, or what have you.
Yeah.
But like, actually, there's more.
But when you're in that position, when you're in that position, you're like, yeah.
Well, this is it. You've got to try and encourage people. Like,
it goes back to that one thing that we spoke about in the first episode, like about talking, how you feel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if someone said, come on, mate, cheer up, you'd still be like, yeah, okay. But then also I think I'd be on the verge of saying, well, look, here's why I'm not cheering up. Yeah. This is the reason why. And then, you know, that could end up into a conversation where...
Yeah, but again, that could be harder for a lot more people to sort of actually do that. Like, 'cause again, like, I'd assume that sort of position in a work environment. Like,
100%.
Because I guess if it was like one of us, like if you were like, you know, your nearest and dearest sort of like pals and stuff, they're going to notice a sort of like change in that respect. Like, you know, dude, I'm here for you, man. So yeah, like for sure. There we are.
There we go. And there we go. That's that.
Self-criticism and hating oneself. Because these signs can blend into daily life, they often go unnoticed by both the person experiencing them and by those around them.
If you or someone you know is struggling, reaching out for support can be a crucial step.
So, advice or any tips that we have for this week for the viewers, Matthew?
Well, one thing I found myself that helped a lot was actually, if you're feeling stressed, anxious, suffering from depression, the thing that worked for me was going to the GP, because obviously then you get to talk about it, like, which automatically makes you feel better anyway.
And you had a pretty decent GP as well.
I was lucky. I got a really good GP. But nowadays GPs are trained a lot more in mental health anyway.
Sure.
So he guided me in the way of medication. And I was a bit unsure about it. I touched on it last time. I was a little bit unsure about it. But he didn't give it as like a first, you know, I didn't go in there and go, yeah, here's some pills. Here we go.
Yeah, well, did he like offer like therapy or anything?
Yeah, so he offered therapy and he recommended medication. He's like, obviously it's up to you. But obviously at the time I was feeling really shit. I was like, yeah, just whatever.
And that's nice as well, because it feels like there's no pressure either.
Exactly, there was no pressure. And so I decided to take that advice. And I think overall, I do think they've helped.
Good.
So I'm not going to, you know, say, right, go to your GP and get medication and all your problems will go away, because
but it's an option
they don't.
there.
But it's an option there, and for me personally, I think it has helped. But the main one that really helped me was talking to my GP. That was the start of trying to get better. Just the conversation.
Yeah,
and
cool.
like I said, we touched on it at the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
Talking was, for me, one of the best ways to kind of start to bring myself out of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what about you? Do you have any?
Well, thinking about it, through the week again, like obviously doing the walks and stuff, and with the nice weather coming out, like, you know, you should be feeling like you should be getting out there and stuff. So after work or what have you, go and get some exercise, go and stretch your legs, even if it's just for 20 minutes. Like, even that might make you feel better. If it's a sunny day. I mean, if it's not, it's still good to do it.
So you might be able to do it like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 3 days a year. 3 days a year.
Well, it's getting better, isn't it? It's been quite nice
lighter
today, to be fair. I think I caught the sun a little bit. But the other thing I was going to sort of look at this week for myself to try and kind of report back next week is meditating and sort of breathing routine. Not routine, what would it be? Like a breathing exercise.
Yeah.
Which I got
like
a friend
daily
of mine,
one, or
yeah, like I've got a friend of mine who I used to work with, and before we started the day, sometimes we'd sort of sit in this sort of field on the way to work, because at the time we were staying in a hotel, and on the way to work we were sort of going through like woodlands and things like that to get there. But we would all make sure that we'd leave a bit earlier, and then we'd rock up, we'd sit in this field, and we would sit there, and on lunch breaks as well, because there was nothing really to do around where we were filming. So we ended up going to this field and just sort of like doing breathing routines, which I've completely forgotten. But even if it's just holding in for 5 seconds and then just letting out, and doing that for maybe like 30 seconds, like might you just...
That's one thing actually that does help is breathing. Literally just taking like 5 minutes out sometimes, just in a few. Yeah. Slow your heart rate down.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that.
It doesn't make your worries go away, but it does.
Yeah. Which I think is like such a really easy thing to do. Like, you can spend 30 seconds doing that.
Yeah, there's no excuse. Everyone can do that kind of thing.
You can do that when you get up, or if again, like you're sort of like you're getting into, you can feel yourself like, I don't know, if you're someone who can tell like you're getting like anxiety or claustrophobic or whatever it is, like just try doing that. The other thing was meditation, which I will sort of like reach out and try and find out what it is that he kind of like does, because it did feel like quite good actually, but doing it with other people, that's
if you're going to be doing this, I feel like I have to be doing something now, so I might just go for a run.
Well, maybe
but then again I should, because that will probably help. So
maybe what we should do is actually, like, if I actually do a bit of research here, reach out to my friend, and I'll see if maybe we could sort of arrange for us to actually do the his meditation exercises and his breathing exercises. His name's Kieran Cumberbatch, and I'll reach out and see if he would wanted to come and do something with us, and maybe make some sort of like little video for you guys just to sort of see what he does.
That'd be good.
For that. We'll have a look at that maybe.
Nice.
Cool.
So that is the end of episode 2, stress, anxiety and depression in men.
I feel like we covered quite a bit there.
Yeah. Enjoyed that little chat.
Yeah, I feel like that was a pretty good chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you so much, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Press them buttons.
It really generally does mean a lot to us. Yep. So thanks very much for watching.
See you next time. Bye.
Ta-ra.